Activities have remained grounded in Bamenda chieftain of the northwest region of Cameroon, as the government of Cameroon announced that people must converge on divisional headquarters on the seat of December 2020 for regional elections. The insecure state of the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon will be part of talking point in this edition of the news. Meantime, Cameroonians have gone reacting as the government of Cameroon convened regional elections in Cameroon. Members of the opposition and key opposition political parties in Cameroon, like the CRM, are planning a nationwide protest demonstration. These stories and more will be yours in this edition. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for choosing Equinoxe Television. You are watching the primetime newscast coming live from Equinoxe Central News Desk in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 5 minutes after 5 p.m. in Accra, Ghana, and it is 5 minutes after 6 p.m. in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. We begin with our top story, taking you to the northwest region of Cameroon. A few days after the decision of the mayor of Bamenda, the chieftain of the region, to ban the circulation of commercial and private motorbikes within the city of Bamenda city dwellers are facing challenges. They are having difficulties going about the activities, and activities that have been grounded in larger portions in the Bamenda 1, Bamenda 2 and Bamenda 3 subdivisions. Some of them have resorted to bicycles in order to be able to circulate within the town of Bamenda. Simanji Gabriel paints a disturbing picture of Bamenda in the northwest region of Cameroon.
Inhabitants of Bamenda now use bicycle as a means of transportation. A pig vendor who usually moves with his private bike is also forced to move on foot and a truck to go get his pig. These are just some of the tough moments inhabitants of Bamenda will have to go through until the ban is uplifted. Commercial Avenue in Bamenda, Northwest Region on Tuesday. The road was void of commercial bike riders alongside those with private motorcycles. Circulation of commercial and private bikes in some zones of Bamenda 1, 2 and 3 subdivision was effective. Zones which used to be busy on a working day were quiet with very little movement observed. At Nitop 1 quarters, no inhabitant was on the street as everyone was indoor owing to the security situation. According to sources in Bamenda, at each checkpoint, security forces were on control. They carried out search on inhabitants who were moving on the way. Earlier in the day, areas like Chess Street, Frundi Junction, then Tarikun Market were busy as people came outside. The decision to ban the circulation of commercial motorcycle in some zones of Bamenda comes days after a police inspector was gunned down by armed men on a bike. The ban on commercial motorcycles in Bamenda also forced separatists to put a ban on the movement of vehicles in the town of Bamenda.
The once very busy Bamenda chieftain of the northwest region of Cameroon reduced to near nothing by the armed conflict rocking the Anglophone regions of Cameroon. It's been for 3 years and running, and that is one of the reasons that opposition political parties in Cameroon, notably the CRM, that is the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, the SDF, the Social Democratic Front political party, the CPP, the PAP have decided not to participate in the convened regional elections. It should be recalled that President Paul Biya yesterday signed a decree convening the Electoral College for seat of December 2020 for the voting of regional councillors. After the decision, some of these parties said they were planning a nationwide protest demonstration, but Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, Paula Tanganji, sent a warning to them, saying they who are planning to disrupt social order in Cameroon should be ready to face the heavy hands of the defense and security forces of the Republic of Cameroon. Take a listen to Minister Paula Tanganji in this press briefing. He made it in the nation's political capital city, Yaoundé.
His Excellency Paul Biya has convened the electorate for the elections of regional councillors today, Monday, 7 September, in strict compliance with the legal provisions. These elections will take place on Saturday, the 6th of December, 2020. The election of regional councillors is the final stage in the setting up of state institutions provided for by the Constitution. After casting his vote during the twin legislative and municipal elections, the head of state clearly made it clear to Cameroonians to understand that regional elections will be convened soon. His Excellency President Paul Biya then declared, I quote, "At the end of the municipal election, regional elections will take place. It is a giant step towards a more enlightened democracy. I am only satisfied, and I will thank Cameroonians for lending me their dynamism and support in the move towards this great democracy." End of quote. The regional elections will also mark the end of an electoral cycle that began on the 25th of March 2018 with the senatorial elections, followed by the presidential elections on October the same year, and the twin legislative and municipal elections of February 2020. The completion of this cycle will allow President Paul Biya to embark on the implementation of the program of great opportunities for which he was voted by Cameroonians on the 7th of October 2018. Dear pressmen, I should equally recall that the consolidation of the decentralization process is a very strong demand of the Cameroonian people, who are sovereign and masters of their destiny. It is also one of the main recommendations of the major national dialogue. The decentralization process implies, therefore, the holding of elections of regional councillors, which is highly awaited by the vast majority of Cameroonians. The Minister of Territorial Administration, in his capacity as the government agent in electoral process, will support as usual the upcoming elections by making available to Elections Cameroon, the independent body in the material organization of polls, all legal instruments, namely the database of traditional chiefdoms, within the deadlines provided by the law for a transparent and credible election. As in previous polls, especially the presidential elections of 7 October 2018 and the legislative and municipal elections of 9 February 2020, the Minister of Territorial Administration will provide ELECAM with optimum security for the elections of regional councillors, which will take place nationwide in a very serene atmosphere. It has come to my knowledge that some political parties losing stream have made some irresponsible declarations by putting some preconditions for the holding of regional elections. This mischievous plan is aimed at destabilizing Republican institutions and is against His Excellency President Paul Biya, who incarnates them. Obviously, these threats have not fallen on deaf ears. Once again, I want to remind everybody that the Minister of Territorial Administration is in charge of maintaining law and order, the protection of persons and their property, as well as supervising the activities of political parties, associations, and NGOs. I want to make it very clear that no disorder shall be tolerated from any political party or any political actor. Dear pressmen and women, permit me to highlight a number of legal provisions that will be applied immediately if these irresponsible politicians ever attempt to disrupt the organization of the December 6th regional elections. They include Law number 2016/007 of the 12th of July 2016, Section 111, Secession. 1. Whoever undertakes in whatever manner to infringe the territorial integrity of the Republic shall be punished with imprisonment for life. Section 114, Revolution. Whoever by force attempts to alter the laws composing the Constitution or to overturn the political authorities set up by the said laws or to render them incapable of exercising their powers shall be punished with imprisonment for life. Law number 90/55 of 19 December 1990 to lay down regulations governing public meetings and processions.
Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, speaking just after the presidential decree convening the Electoral College for the seat of December 2020 in Cameroon. This by the declaration of the Minat Boss, political parties of the opposition, mainly the CRM party officials, proceeded to their boycott and also called on Cameroonians to participate in a nationwide protest demonstration, according to a social media post from Olivier Bibou-Nissa, who is the spokesperson of the CRM political party national president. The party, alongside other parties in an alliance, are planning a protest demonstration to oust President Paul Biya, according to his declaration on social media. That is on social media. But in the city of Douala, we hooked up with politicians, notably Barrister Julius Achu of the PTM political party, who thinks parties who are planning to boycott the election are only afraid of another failure, referring to the SDF party. With regards to the CPTM or the CRM party, he believes the CRM party has no councillors and cannot participate in an election which, according to him, will be a failure. Listen to him in the following extract.
In 2018. Why didn't they say that in 2019? Why didn't they say that in February this year? Meanwhile, to the best of my knowledge, on the contrary, those who were claimed to be secessionists are no longer on the field, because those who are there now are thieves and thugs who are actually hurting the population more than talk about secessionism or whatever. Whether you like it or not, they've created fear, and who's afraid? The population. Who are those being killed? Members of the population. How many people have you heard have been killed? How much have we heard interchange of fire between the army and the so-called secessionists? That thing about secessionists has died down to banditry and highway and robbery, which is going on now. So the government has succeeded in containing the armed rebellion. That's when some people get up and say, well, we don't want to go in for elections. Fine, don't go. But those who are ready will go. That's the issue. If you don't go, those who are ready will go for it. Have no councillors, so they have no interest. And when it comes to SDF, I don't know why they are scared, because those elections are going to take place in the regional headquarters. Well, I just feel that the SDF is a party that has been subject to a lot of political failures, and I'm sure they feel this is going to be one of them. That's just why they are raising their shoulder and say, well, let it happen. We don't give a damn. All I think is that this issue about region has taken its time because of the COVID. That's some sort of disturbed the smooth functioning of the system in the world over, not only in Cameroon. So it has come now that the president said, okay, we got to remember there's a certain point in time the same parties were accusing the head of state of being slow. Now that he's done it, now they change the format to say no, they're not going to participate. In any case, it's their democratic right to say, well, we're not participating. As they're not participating, those who are going to participate will participate, and the country will continue without them. But you see, how can you participate under the same laws on 3 different elections, only for you to come and say one of the tenets, one of the part of the law which is always respected, you want to go against it now? Does it make sense? It means you are doing something and the opposite. And at the same time, all those who are saying we are not going in for have benefited from this same law, because some of them are parliamentarians, some of them are senators, some of them are being councillors. How come you say that at the tail end of the process, you're not going to participate? To me, it doesn't make sense. But as I say again, it is a democratic right.
And an opinion leader, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, says it is a good move, but too late. He thinks this would have been done some 26 years, but I believe Cameroonian can also look up to that as the opening of a door to a brighter future. Listen to him in the following extract.
Reasons, and at the same time they are the very ones who change their very reasons for going or not going, and therefore, you know, when people cannot be trusted in what they say, then it becomes very difficult. You see, like the president of Cote d'Ivoire, he says I'm not going, and then before you know it, he says I'm going. It's an African way of doing things, and when you are a leader and you are confused as to what you want and what you don't want, then everybody becomes confused. That said, I would think that it's a good thing that, you know, the country is going on with her democratization process. The democratization process is a learning curve where we have to learn how to do things. So it's a good thing. But as you would have also observed, what we are doing today is supposed to have happened in 1996. So you can see that we've had more than 20 or 22 years of retard, I would say. Because if we had done it from that time, it would have been 22 years wiser now. So what is happening is that many people are more mature now in their thinking, and we're giving them the milk that we were supposed to have fed them 22 years ago, and that's why there's the clash. Because as I speak to you, democracy is a growing thing, and what we are doing today is not like it's the best that ought to have happened to us. We expect more to come, especially given that we cannot properly define what is the special status, and that there is still problems going on in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, and we are expecting a true and genuine dialogue that has to come to be able to put the troubles in the northwest and southwest, you know, to rest. And when that happens, it makes sense, of course, that even if there are elections today, those things will be revisited so that the Anglophones can fit into it, because you know, things would have changed somehow. You know, this decentralization as prescribed by the government of Cameroon is one form of state. Federation and confederation is another form of state. Now, but when you take these regional elections and things that are going on and whatever, they are acceptable, and they can also work under a confederation when you have defined something that is higher, and then this one fits under it. But when you make this decentralization as it is now higher, then it does not, and you put it at par with confederation, it doesn't work, because confederation solves the problem in its own way. But when the time comes, if the Cameroonian public thinks that confederation is the thing, then of course we would put confederation to work, and we'll take what we are doing now and put it under it, and it will work. Going, and they give reasons.
within a challenging security atmosphere, a challenging socio-political atmosphere like that of Cameroon, some journalists, media men and women coming from 4 regions in Cameroon, notably the littoral region, the central region, the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon have converged on Crise in the ocean division of the south region of Cameroon in a training organized by the United Nations. And of course, it's been organized by the United Nations and its partner organizations. The objective of the come together of men of the press is to drill them on ways of covering events in a security challenge atmosphere like Cameroon, and of course in a war zone, like gathering information. And those men and women selected from the 4 regions of Cameroon will for over 5 days be drilled on how to cover information in a security challenge atmosphere in order to stay safe with regards to what the broadcast or air, and of course whatever is written and given out to the public for consumption. And in the course of the opening ceremony, we hooked up with a UN human rights expert who is coordinating the event, who spoke to our correspondent in the south region of Cameroon, Joseph Abena.
Delicate issue for media professionals, but also for professionals of protection. Now, when it comes to conflicts and journalists or media professionals who have not had experience in covering conflicts before, it becomes a challenge. And that some of them can actually get into crossfire without knowing exactly that they are endangering themselves. Some of them can actually diffuse some information without knowing how dangerous that information can be to protection of others, not only themselves. So it is important for the law enforcement officers, defense officers, to know that when journalists are found in the battlefront, they have a role to play. It is also important for journalists to know that their safety and the safety of others lies in the information that they give out. So this is a very strategic and very complex scenario that we need to clarify, so that journalists know that when they go down to the field, they need to respect certain ethos of security and law enforcement. Whereas also as for law enforcement officers and defense and security forces, they need to also know that journalists and other media professionals are considered as civilians in situations of armed conflict or conflict, and they need to be protected as such.
The safety of every journalist is very important. Conscious of the fact that you know exactly the important role the media play in the society, and I think this seminar is important because it's going to help journalists realize that in doing their job, their security is important, and in doing their job they should not violate the laws of the land.
And you listen there to an official from the United Nations Human Rights Institution and a journalist who is also a part of the journalists participating in the event on Crise in the Ocean Division, South region of Cameroon. And I will talk something else back to the economic capital city, Douala, where inhabitants of the Bassa zone of the Douala 3 subdivision are repeating calls for the company in charge of electricity distribution and production in Cameroon to get rid of falling poles and cables which have been abandoned in their neighborhoods of the city for over 3 months. They say the poles and cables have blocked circulation in their neighborhood and is also posing as a risk to children in their parts of the city. Innocent as it tells us more in the following report.
This is what many will term a veritable trap, others witchcraft or nightmare. A new electric poles and live cables scare majority of the inhabitants of the Bassa zone in the Douala 3 subdivision from using roads blocked by these abandoned dead traps.
Where's Ramo?
Only the courageous use these major roads despite high possibility of electrocution.
Un véhicule d'une société que ne peut pas citer le nom.
This pole, for instance, was brought down by a vehicle belonging to an enterprise. It has been lying here for close to 2 months, and nothing has been done, even by the electricity production and distribution company, like to get rid of it on this road.
Qu'il allait engager une procédure. Bon, bien sûr que la procédure, je ne sais pas si elle est en cours ou pas. Il y a le jeu.
If someone gets electrocuted to death, Enyo will be responsible.
Si actuellement quelqu'un meurt ici, c'est Enyo qui sera responsable.
Et nous avons là une école qui est là tout proche.
We have a school here, and children in their hundreds frequent this road for holiday classes.
Et nous avons aussi des enfants là qui sont en train de jouer tout près.
A baffling issue as an Enyo branch office is found just 50 meters from here.
Ce qui est lamentable, c'est du fait que l'agence elle-même n'est pas loin, elle est juste à la proximité.
Not even a worker has been sent to come and take stock of the situation.
Nullement de venir sur le lieu, sur le terrain et faire analyse de la situation.
Nous sommes allés vers le chef d'agence.
We went to the branch manager and complained, but no action has been taken till present.
Jusqu'à présent, j'ai même saisi le 90, mais pas de suite.
The fallen poles bearing street lights have led to rise of insecurity in the locality.
Partout là, il y avait des lampadaires accrochés sur tous ces poteaux qui jonchent le chemin de la route.
It has become practically impossible to move through the streets at night.
Donc vraiment, nous déplorons ces situations.
Arms are crossed and immediate action expected from Enyo officials.
Several shops in Bamesengi in Buda, chieftain of the Bambutus division of the West region of Cameroon, have been burgled by men of the underworld. The incident that occurred Monday is sending shocks and fears across inhabitants or amongst inhabitants of Buda, who say it is coming few days after the controversial transfer of the gendarmerie commander for Buda, warrant officer Lashele Sebastian. Smart Njikan Gibre tells us more in the following report.
Bamisenge neighborhood in Buda, West region of Cameroon. Men of the underworld resurface again after their absence for several months. Some stores involved in the sale of basic commodities in this locality have been broken into by men of the underworld. The men of the underworld took away several items sold by the vendors in this business place. A victim of the attack says it has been for a while they have not cried out. They are now calling on the authorities to come to their rescue.
Qu'on essaie d'organiser, si on peut faire le comité de vigilance, surtout avec leur appui, parce que si on fait un comité de vigilance sans l'appui des autorités, ça ne va pas marcher.
This incident is happening days after Senior Warrant Officer Lashele Sebastian left Mbuda after serving for 2 years. The population believe the forces of law and order will have to increase their patrols.
The fight against COVID-19 is gaining grounds in Tombe, in the Kmer division of the southwest region of Cameroon. The joint effort of administrative officials and health personnel of that part of the conflict hit southwest region of Cameroon is said to be yielding fruits, as Immaculate Fogwe tells us in the upcoming report.
With just a COVID-19 positive case registered in the town of Tombel in the Kmer division, southwest region of Cameroon, administrative and health authorities are stepping up the fight against the spread of the coronavirus in the area.
So we are saying that we lost a colleague at the district hospital Tombel who passed away, and sample was collected and tested and proven to be positive. We don't want more cases of coronavirus in our health district. We all know that COVID-19 is real, and government has put up measures to prevent the spread. Remember government measures of wearing your mask, of regular hand washing under running water and soap, or using an alcohol-based sanitizer.
A committee of health workers have been trained and later sent to the field to sensitize the population on the dangers of the virus.
It's for mass sensitization and screening for COVID-19. So if we have a positive case, we have a room to keep them, then follow up their condition for their treatment. If the case is a mild case, we will follow up treatment at the home. If it's a severe case, we will rapidly send the person to the special training center in Tico.
Administrative and health workers were able to lead by example as they equally got themselves tested, a move greatly appreciated by local inhabitants.
Okay, I was scared, but when I saw the authorities, the health personnel, they went to do their own, so I was encouraged. So I went also to do mine, and it came out negative. So I'm encouraging everybody in the community, in your household, in the market, I'm encouraging you guys to do your own and be tested so that you can prevent yourself and prevent others from getting infected.
Administrative and health authorities are urging the population not to neglect any of the COVID-19 preventive measures in order to stay safe.
Camer, what is your motto?
Coming up is Talking Point. Stay with us. Thanks for joining us on Talking Points. Today we are receiving a journalist. With him we shall be looking at the atmosphere in Cameroon. Some say it's uncertain, disturbing, just after the president convened the Electoral College for December 2020. Prince Joel Mokake, thanks for accepting our invitation.
Thank you very much for me, Armstrong Sander. Good evening to those watching Equinoxe right now. Special good evening to those watching in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon.
The northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, which is being used by the opposition as one of the reasons why regional elections should not take place in Cameroon, at least not for now, because of the crisis.
Sure. You know, the population of the northwest and the southwest is regrettable that most politicians are using them as a bait to pass across their political slogans, because if you go through, be it the Cameroon Renaissance movement of Professor Maurice Kamto, they talk about the fact that there has been continuous debt, but we should not let go the fact that there were debt in 2018 when he went for presidential elections. It is the same slogan that is used by the Social Democratic Front of John Funde, but we should not let go the fact that the crisis was ongoing since 2016 when the Social Democratic Front went for presidential elections and also went for municipal and legislative elections. Now, when you look at these two things, Armstrong, you start asking yourself that is this call actually genuine? Is these political parties, do they actually have the people in their heart? It's true that it's better late than never, but if you sample the opinion, like we've been doing in the field, if you sample the opinion of so many persons, so many Cameroonians, especially those in the English part of the country, they just feel that politics is not what they should be talking now. The people feel that the atmosphere generally is not conducive for politics. Because if you look at what you are calling today the regional elections, I've said it on several platforms, even platforms here on Equinoxe, I've said that if you look at those who are, first of all, those who are today called municipal and municipal councillors, yes, those who are supposed to vote the delegates.
That forms part of the Electoral College.
Correct. Now, when you look at it, Armstrong, the issue is, in the northwest and the southwest, the people actually vote them. Because we know, if you read what the Social Democratic Front wrote, you discover at one time that the party says, I think in paragraph 2, the party says that in certain localities in the northwest and the southwest, people were regrouped. It means that they took people from different villages or from different communities kept them in one polling station, and they had to vote.
They formed polling centers.
They formed polling stations. Now,
centers, yes.
Sure.
The polling stations were merged together to form polling centers, like the case of Momo, for example, where polling stations within the subdivisions were brought to Mbengui to form a polling center.
Sure,
and
sure.
Very few people could travel from the villages to vote in Mbengui.
That's the issue. So when you look at it, these people that were voted, those we know that there are areas in the northwest and the southwest where there was just a single candidate. And automatically, because since the CPDM was represented in all the 360 subdivisions, it is automatic that where there was no candidate, the person was alone won. So now, do you have these people who were not actually voted?
Even if he or she was voted by just a single voter, sure. Like the case where some opposition political party leaders say soldiers actually voted for CPTM candidates in areas where villagers were not present to vote. We have villages that are now empty. Villagers ran away, and of course, soldiers present in the villages voted for the CPTM candidates. But Prince, you are raising an important point there. I wanted us to look at these things from this angle. You said the issue in the north and south regions of Cameroon is being used by some politicians,
political parties,
yes, to attain their objectives. Now, looking at it from a journalist perspective, the atmosphere in the northwest and southwest regions, taking the case of Bamenda, for example, is it actually conducive? Is it actually the right context, the right time for such elections to hold?
For me, I'm from Sanders. Since 2016, I'm one of those journalists who have always said that what we should be talking in the northwest and the southwest now is not elections. I'm saying so because I have had to go down to these areas even during elections and after elections. You will discover that, I give an example. For instance, you go to a village like Mile 16, some meters here from Imboya,
yes,
you will discover that the entire community has relocated because of the insecurity. And since the electoral code says that you can only vote where you registered, it means these people did not vote while in other French areas. Another area, I take you to Donga Mandun. Go to an area like Chongi. It's under the Misaje subdivision. You will discover that it is an area where completely was deserted by the people because there was a kind of an army camp there. Now, who are those who voted there? Automatically, it is those in uniform and some civil servants. Now, these people that were not actually, if at all, some people voted them, let's say some in the northwest, because it will be, as a journalist, it will be wrong for me to say that